This house was full of giggles and laughs and carrying on all the time.
But no one in the close-knit family could have ever imagined that their lives were about to change forever. On March 28, 2008, Rick Barber is out of town for the weekend, but his family isn't missing a beat. His wife, Dawn, has a full agenda planned, including ice cream sundaes and a long-anticipated movie.
We were all laughing and having a good time. The kids watched their movie and ate their ice cream, and then it was time for them to go to bed. And Garen asked me if they could sleep with me that night. I told him yeah, and so they went off and went to bed.
A few hours later, Dawn climbs into bed next to her kids, and they all sleep peacefully through the night.
I didn't wake up till about 9 o'clock. And when I woke up, Garen was still laying down, which was odd, because Garen wakes up really easy.
Garen. She nudges him, he doesn't get up, and she realizes he's not breathing.
Oh my gosh.
She immediately calls 911.
Within minutes, paramedics arrive. And while they rush Garen to the nearest hospital, Dawn calls her husband, Rick.
The phone rang, and there was just screaming on the other end of the phone. She said, Garen's not breathing, they're taking him to the hospital. I just hit my knees, and started praying.
They took us straight back into a family room at the ER. It wasn't long after that when the doctor came in and told us then that they couldn't do anything for him.
They called back, and they said, we lost him.
In an instant, the family's world is turned upside down.
I think the hardest thing to realize is when you look at everything you have and you say, I'll never have a new picture of Garen. Time for him stopped. He's a piece of the family that will be missed. You will never replace. Nobody would ever be able to fill that hole.
Well, this is a sad case. I could get wrapped up in the emotion of this, but what people need are answers. According to his family, he's a happy kid. He doesn't really have a lot of problems.
But despite a relatively clean slate, Dr. G spots at least one red flag in his medical history. From birth, Garen had sometimes experienced involuntary eye movements, which were later diagnosed as partial seizures.
He just has this strange, kind of disturbing eye movement. It didn't seem to be a huge problem. He takes carbamazepine part, anti-seizure medication, and he's been doing that for years.
But his doctor had warned the Barbers that as Garen grew older, there was a chance his seizures could intensify and progress into epilepsy. Given this history, Dr. G must keep in mind SUDEP, or sudden unexplained death in epilepsy, as a possible cause of death.
He appears to have died suddenly and during his sleep, and that would fit SUDEP, but I really have to see from his medical records how severe these seizures are.
But SUDEP leaves behind no physical evidence, so the only way she'll know for sure if it killed him is to rule out everything else. Along the way, Dr. G will be on the lookout for another potential culprit. A congenital heart defect, a common and potentially fatal abnormality in children Garen's age.
I'm worried about heart defect. In fact, I would think a heart defect even more than SUDEP. In this age group, most of the major heart defects would have been picked up by his pediatrician, but a few of them will still slip through that may not cause symptoms till later.
But Dr. G must also consider one other tragic, although unlikely scenario.
I'd have to rule out drugs. We always wonder, could he have gotten into somebody else's medication or his own medication and taken too much?
You never want to think about an autopsy, but at the same time, it'll give us clues as to what happened to him.
This is just a sweet-looking kid.
You ready?
He is cute as a button. He looks like he could be sleeping. He looks well cared for. He's the appropriate height and weight for an 8-year-old boy.
First, she documents the obvious resuscitation efforts made by emergency personnel.
These are all from CPR. Look at these. We see needle puncture marks on the back of the hand. We see an endotracheal tube was intubated. We see EKG pads. We see resuscitation pads.
But as Dr. G scans the body, something immediately catches her attention.
He's got frothy fluid coming out of his mouth, consistent with pulmonary edema. Fluid buildup in the air spaces in his lungs. What happens is when you have this fluid going into your air sacs and you're still trying to breathe, it whips it up almost like an egg white. And it forms a frothy fluid that actually comes up the column of the windpipe and comes out the mouth. That's a very non-specific finding. We will let the body and the tox speak to us to tell us why he has pulmonary edema. If you get this. At this point, this external exam doesn't rule anything in or out. I've really got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I mean, that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm hoping to eventually do.
And no one is more eager for answers than Garen's family.
You look at a perfectly healthy boy that goes to sleep and just passes. You know something's happened, something's wrong.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments. I was just overwhelmed at what to do. They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, property I had, my home, my car. When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy, like 1, 2, 3. It was just easy. I owed $15,000. I only had to pay $3,500, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything. If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
So don't wait. Today you have options. Tomorrow you might not. Optima's tax professionals are standing by, ready to help you now.
For your free consultation, call 800-356-0183. 800-356-0183. That's 800-356-0183.
Optima Tax Relief.
Confused by the Medicare ABCs? If you have Original Medicare, then you have Parts A and B. Have you considered Part C? Medicare Part C is sometimes known as a Medicare Advantage plan, and it's one of the best ways to help protect yourself from out-of-pocket Medicare costs. If you only have Medicare Parts A and B, there are 3 things you should do. 1. Call the number on your screen. 2. Give the licensed insurance agent your zip code. 3. See what Part C plans with benefits are available to you. 1, 2, 3. It's that easy. Medicare Part C plans are available with benefits you may not be receiving with your current plan. If you're losing benefits, moving, or new to Medicare, you may be eligible to enroll in a plan today, but you won't know unless you 1. Call the number on your screen now. 2. Give the licensed insurance agent your zip code. 3. See what Part C plans with benefits are available to you. 1, 2, 3. It's that easy. Medicare Part C plans are available now. Plans may include benefits you are not currently receiving. Call today. You don't get a Medicare Advantage plan automatically. Call to find out if you're eligible for a special enrollment period. If you're losing benefits, moving, or new to Medicare, you may be eligible to enroll in a plan today. If you only have Medicare Parts A and B, there are 3 things you should do. 1. Call the number on your screen. 2. Give the licensed insurance agent your zip code. 3. See what Part C plans with benefits are available to you. 1, 2, 3. It's that easy. Medicare Part C plans are available with benefits you may not be receiving with your current plan. If you're losing benefits, moving, or new to Medicare, you may be eligible to enroll in a plan today, but you won't know unless you call. Call today for your free Medicare benefits review. The call is free. There's no obligation.
Call 800-408-3192. That's 800-408-3192. Call now.
Dr. G is prepping for the internal exam on 8-year-old Garen Barber, whose sudden death has left his family in a state of crisis.
Everybody spent sleepless nights wondering what in the world had happened.
You'd start worrying about what it may be like if you don't if you don't find out.
Yeah, scalpel with a sterile blade. I'm not sure the autopsy will necessarily give us the answer for sure. Yeah. But it will rule many things out. Alrighty. The first thing I do is take my normal toxicology. So we've got the blood. Did you get the bile? I'll take blood and I'll take bile. And those I'll check for drugs, and I'll certainly check for any electrolyte abnormality, any evidence of diabetes. Because a kid going into diabetic ketoacidosis is another possibility, although we don't have any symptoms, maybe the family did pick up on it. And then I'll start looking at the organs one by one.
Peering into the chest cavity, she can see right away that the lungs are swollen with fluid.
The lungs are heavy, they're consistent with pulmonary edema. Oftentimes it's associated with the failure of his heart. It could be related to sudden unexpected death of epilepsy, the SUDEP. It's very nonspecific. I'll be there in a minute, Brian.
Next, Dr. G heads straight to an organ high on her list of suspects, the heart. Here she'll be on the lookout for an undetected congenital defect, a killer that claims thousands of young lives each year in the U.S.
When I get to the heart, the first thing I want to look at is the general shape, and it looks normal. So that heart's about normal size. It's a normal shape, and the consistency of the muscle appears normal. Everything looks good. I carefully make sure all the parts are going to the right place. Then I'll look at the coronary arteries. I look at the valves, I look at the lining of the heart, I look at the thickness of the wall, and there appears to be no congenital heart abnormalities. But there's still a possibility that I'm not finding something subtle, and so I need to look at the heart under the microscope.
Next, Dr. G turns her attention to the abdominal cavity, and there, something immediately catches her eye.
Oh, look at that. Now, the kidneys are interesting. He only has one. That looks like a kidney. He just wasn't born with his right kidney. It's a relatively common finding in the ward. You see it in about between 1 in 1,000 and 1 in 2,000 people.
Truth is, most people can lead normal, healthy lives with just one kidney. But Dr. G knows that if the single kidney was damaged or infected, the result may have been fatal.
But the lone kidney appeared healthy.
Next, she checks the stomach contents for evidence of an accidental overdose.
When I look in the stomach, I'm looking for pill fragments, and I don't see it. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have an overdose or he's gotten into somebody's medicine. Only the tox will tell us that.
For now, Dr. G switches gears and heads to a part of the body that just might give her the answer she's been looking for. The neck.
An often neglected part of the autopsy people don't think about is the neck, but the neck can give us a lot of information, and it could be some possibilities of death for this child. Could he have choked on something? Is there evidence of maybe an allergic reaction?
Layer by layer, Dr. G dissects the tissue.
He didn't have evidence that looked like he had an allergic reaction. There's no evidence of strangulation, so all of that appeared completely normal. Ultimately, his neck doesn't give us the answer. Okay.
One by one, Dr. G examines the remaining organs in Garen's body. But after an exhaustive search, she comes up empty.
At this point, really, what do we have? We have pulmonary edema, a normal appearing heart, and a congenitally absent kidney, but not much else. Okay. Well, basically, so far we don't have an answer, but I still have the brain to go.
Using an oscillating saw, morgue technician Brian Mahalski carefully opens the skull.
I immediately see that there is edema to his brain, like it just hasn't gotten enough oxygen. It could be related to the SUDEP, but we don't know the cause at this point. Let's cut that brain and then we'll be done.
But as Dr. G removes the brain itself, she spots something that is nothing short of shocking.
Oh my God, look at that. He's got some very prominent cerebellar tonsils. That's at the bottom of your brain, right next to your brainstem. They actually extended down into the spinal canal where the spinal cord should be.
It's clear that Garen's cerebellar tonsils have extended out of his skull and down his spinal canal. Dr. G now suspects that he may have had a Chiari-1 malformation, a rare congenital abnormality that affects about 1 in 1,000 people.
Yeah, was that okay?
To be sure, she enlists the expertise of neuropathologist Dr. Gary Pearl, who specializes in rare brain disorders.
I really would like Dr. Pearl to look at this brain to see if he concurs with me.
When Dr. Pearl arrives at the morgue, they get straight to the task at hand, a careful examination of the cerebellar tonsils.
Well, that helps. Let's see, we got a brain knife. In this case, we saw downward herniation of the cerebellar tonsils. There was also some fibrosis and adhesions of the tonsils to the brainstem. This tells us that it's a chronic condition that's Chiari-1 malformation by definition.
This means that Garen had been living with an undiagnosed brain malformation, possibly for years. But while Chiari-1 can present some uncomfortable symptoms, it's rarely life-threatening. And if the condition did kill him, it would have left no physical trace in his body.
Just like SIDAP, you have to rule everything else out and you see if this fits.
Bottom line, after a complete cranial exam, Dr. G is still not certain as to what killed Garen so suddenly.
So far, I don't clearly know why he died. I've got my work cut out for me. I need a boatload of records, both from his pediatrician and from his neurologist. I need to look under the microscope, and I need to get the toxicology results. No answers can be complete until all those pieces are together. So I have to call the family, and I'm basically telling them I don't know. I'm not sure what it is yet.
The not knowing, really not even having a clue, was extremely frustrating. You know, it was a long process trying to find out exactly what happened.
When a car breaks down, a race car driver would call a pit crew. You should call Endurance and never pay for covered car repairs again, just like a pro.
As a certified mechanic, I always recommend that my customers have an auto protection plan. You never know when a breakdown can strike, and you need coverage that you can count on.
Without Endurance, a broken AC unit can cost over $800. Transmission over $3,000, an engine over $4,000. With Endurance, you're covered. And even better, you pick the mechanic you trust. Just remember, you gotta call Endurance when your car's working to be covered when it's not.
Endurance covers nearly every car on the road, up to 20 years old, no matter the mileage, against costly breakdowns.
With Endurance, all major parts are covered, plus hundreds more.
Endurance has paid out over $8,700 in my car repairs.
Unlike other companies I've dealt with as a mechanic, Endurance is the direct administrator of their plans. That means no middleman and no runaround. We just call Endurance direct.
Endurance has been putting money back into Americans' pockets for nearly 2 decades. And if you break down, they'll jump your battery, tow, deliver gas, change a flat, unlock your car, and more.
We were stranded on the side of the road in 110-degree heat. Endurance came to the rescue.
Just look at what thousands of real drivers are saying about Endurance on top review sites. Call now and we'll upgrade you to a full year of elite benefits free, a $2,000 value.
One easy phone call, endless covered car repairs. So make the call. Find out how much you could save with Endurance.
Right now, you can get $300 off any plan, plus a year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value free, all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Call 1-800-968-0786 for a free quote. The windows come down. The shoes go off. The sleeves go up. The coast is there with open arms. Leave it all behind and settle in. Beat 'em along.
It wasn't always like this. Dryness made sex painful and awkward. But Reverie's vaginal moisturizer brought back the spark. Thousands of women have restored their vaginal moisture. Join them at Reverie.com.
Coming up next on True Crime Network.
It's been 4 long weeks since the autopsy of 8-year-old Garen Barber. But Dr. G still has no definitive answers, and she's hoping that the lab work might hold the key to his death.
Is it SUDAP? Is it Chiari-1? Is it something wrong with his heart that I couldn't see with my eye? Is it something in toxicology?
Today, however, could be the turning point, as the long-awaited lab reports and microscopic slides finally arrive at the morgue.
When I look at the toxicology, he just has his anti-seizure medication, and that was at a relatively low level. So he certainly didn't overdose on anything. So when I looked at the heart under the microscope, there was no abnormalities that could be seen. With all of these negatives, I'm pretty much left with, is it a sudden unexplained death of epilepsy, or is it a sudden death associated with the Chiari-1 malformation?
Dr. G has finally narrowed it down to two possibilities. And there's only one thing left in her arsenal that may help determine Garen's ultimate cause of death: his medical records.
We start working on getting the records, but they seem to be taking forever. Okay, you try. Thank you. I really need to look at what symptoms is he showing? What kind of seizures does he have? I really need to get some medical history here to put this together.
4 days later, Garen Barber's medical records finally show up at the District 9 morgue. And as she reads through the file, she's amazed to learn that throughout his entire childhood, Garen had been suffering from a host of disturbing symptoms.
Some of the symptoms was not just the weird eye movements, but he would sometimes see double, and he sometimes complained of headaches and some even behavioral problems.
For Dr. G, these new symptoms are a critical clue that lead her to a surprising conclusion. Garen did not suffer from a seizure disorder at all. The strange eye movements, along with the other symptoms, were all being caused by the malformation in his brain.
I think his symptoms were all related to the Chiari-1.
And as she reads on, she's surprised to discover that Garen's neurologist had actually diagnosed him with the condition a year earlier.
He did do an MRI scan, and I was shocked when I saw that.
It appears as if the neurologist simply didn't associate Garen's chronic symptoms with his Chiari-1 malformation, and instead attributed all the problems to the partial seizure disorder.
I think the doctor felt his Chiari-1 was asymptomatic.
It's a tragic oversight, but not a surprising one. Chiari-1 malformation is a rare and often misunderstood condition.
A lot of people are under the impression that most Chiari-1s are asymptomatic. As more and more is learned about it, we're realizing people do have symptomatology and they can die suddenly from it. I'll tell you, at the beginning of my career, the neurologist wouldn't believe that there was anything called SUDEP either, that people died from epilepsy. And now it's an accepted diagnosis. I think as time goes on, I think this is a disease that we're going to learn a lot more about. It's rare. It's rare to die this way, but we know it happens.
But sadly, for Garen, no one was able to figure it out until it was too late.
I think once we put this all together, when we look at his history, we look at his medical records, the most likely explanation for his death is clearly the Chiari-1 malformation.
It's 10 p.m. on Saturday, and Garen is fast asleep in bed beside his mother and sister. But unbeknownst to anyone, a Chiari malformation is pushing down on his brainstem. To date, his symptoms have been generally mild, but on this night, Garen suffers a more dangerous side effect of Chiari: central sleep apnea.
He's probably had some central sleep apnea before. He sleeps alone. Nobody probably noticed it.
As he sleeps, the brain temporarily stops sending signals to the muscles that control breathing.
The brainstem is compressed, and it's telling your lungs not to breathe. And then eventually, if you don't breathe enough, your oxygen goes down.
And as oxygen levels continue to drop, a deadly chain reaction is set into motion. Garen's heart rate slows, and fluid begins to build up in his lungs and brain.
He stopped breathing long enough where he has a respiratory arrest and ultimately also cardiac arrest.
Sometime in the middle of the night, Garen's heart simply stops beating, and the 8-year-old dies peacefully in his sleep. That same afternoon, Dr. G calls Rick and Don Barber to share her findings. Although the results of the autopsy bring some closure, they're shocked by the Chiari-1 diagnosis and insist the neurologist never shared this discovery with them.
We were incredibly surprised to know that the doctor knew about the Chiari and never mentioned it to us.
Had I been told what it was then and had done the research then, I could have changed his doctor, or I could have asked for somebody to look at something else to at least try to help him with his symptoms.
If they had known, they might have opted for surgery. But it is a high-risk procedure and generally reserved for the most extreme cases.
The treatment would be surgery, neurosurgery on the base of your skull so that cerebellum is not compressing the brainstem. That's not a surgery to take lightly. All right, bye-bye.
But despite her troubling findings, the Barbers are grateful for Dr. G's work and care.
I think very highly of Dr. G. I think I got more information from her than I ever expected, and more than that, a willingness to sit and talk and to give of her time.
Dr. G has definitely given us the closure that you have to take the next step in life.
They have a wonderful attitude. They know they still have to raise their daughter, and they're not going to let this ruin their family. They can't let the bitterness and the sadness of losing a child ruin the second child's life.
If you can take one thing away from everything we've had to go through, understand that everything you do builds a memory. And every moment can be important, and every moment can be something that you can hold on to forever.
The thing I miss about Garen is his smile and his laughter and things he used to say and do. If there was one more thing I could say to Garen, it's I love you the rest of the season.
Just tell him that I love him.
Love you, little man, and see you soon.
What the story teaches us is appreciate your loved ones. You never know. Life changes on a dime. I mean, this is a happy family with two beautiful kids, and one dies suddenly. We never know what life has in store for us.
Unexpected deaths are nothing new to Dr. G. But in a potential homicide like that of 45-year-old Hank Mosley, she finds herself facing a whole different set of challenges.
Law enforcement is leaning on me a lot because they want to know how much further do we have to investigate this case.
Why is Navage perfect for allergies?
People who have allergies will have lots of problems. If someone's exposed to allergens, they can get rid of those immediately by washing out the nose. Navage works by pulling saline in one nostril, through the nose and out the other nostril, sucking out allergens, mucus, dust, and germs. Experience on-the-spot relief so you could breathe easier, sleep better, feel healthier. If you have seasonal allergies, Navage can help.
Navage, now available at select Sam's Clubs.
There has never been a better time to join AARP. This special offer gives you exclusive access to hundreds of AARP discounts, programs, and services that will add real value to your life. As a member, you can get discounts on glasses and eye exams, save on prescription drugs not covered by Medicare. But you can also save on travel, hotels, restaurants, concert tickets, and so much more.
I didn't know that.
AARP helps members access exclusive benefits like Medicare supplement insurance, even auto insurance.
We can use that.
AARP offers financial tips, career resources, and tools that may help you avoid identity theft and scammers.
That's good to know.
Pick up the phone now to join AARP. Just $9 per year. That's 43% off the regular membership price. You'll even get a second membership included free. And you'll receive AARP the magazine filled with information and articles important to you. Plus, you'll get hundreds of benefits and an additional free gift if you call now.
And you don't have to be retired to join AARP. You can join at 50 for instant access to many member benefits. For 60 years, AARP has fought to protect your Social Security, Medicare, and more.
That sounds good to me.
Now you know how AARP helps people like us take on today. So don't miss your chance to join now.
Call or go online now to take advantage of this limited time Memorial Day sale. Just $9 per year when you sign up for a 5-year term. That's 43% off the regular membership price. And you'll get a second membership for anyone in your home free. And AARP the magazine, filled with information and articles important to you. Plus, you get the AARP mobile app that connects you to local events and activities near you. And as a free gift, we'll include this insulated trunk organizer. So don't miss this chance to save 43%. Join AARP AARP, just $9 per year. Call 800-264-6984 or go online today.
I've been driving a truck all my life. A bear ran across the front of my truck, and I had to avoid him instead of hitting him. I got a good settlement for it and everything, and Dad helped me to go out and acquire gold and silver. I got the brochure from U.S. Money Reserve, and that's when I decided I can make more money with this than I could leaving it in the bank. Because if I put 20 grand of paper in there and I had 20 grand of gold, the paper ain't gonna make me any money. I just bought it because it's my insurance policy.
If you'd like to learn more about why physical gold should be an important part of your portfolio, pick up the phone and call to receive the complete guide to buying gold, which will provide you with important, never-seen-before facts you should know about making gold purchases.
U.S. Money Reserve is one of the most dependable gold distributors in America.
At DriveTime.com, we've been hard at work, and we finally did.
Did you make it so I can finally see my real payments and shop at thousands of cars with no hit to my credit?
Wait. Yes! Shop for cars online with no credit hit!
Look, there's a slidey thingy. I'm changing my own payments. I feel strong!
Go to DriveTime.com, get approved, shop real cars, customize your real terms with no credit hit.
We did it, Drive Time!
Shop for cars online with no credit hit at DriveTime.com.
When you die suddenly, everything stops, and it's a snapshot into the way you lived. And it actually is one of the best parts of my job, is just seeing how people live and what they do and even what they have on when they die. And then I will investigate those final moments.
And in Dr. G's next case, those final moments may in fact hold the key to solving the mystery behind a man's sudden death.
Ooh, today the police are going to come by to see the results of this autopsy. The police are very concerned because they are not sure whether foul play was involved or not.
It's late afternoon on a Sunday in the middle of March. Orlando resident Maggie Shepard is catching up on some reading when she gets a sense that something's happening upstairs. Something not at all right.
She hears some goings on in the apartment above her. She is so worried that she calls the police.
When police arrive, Maggie informs them that a man named Hank Mosley lives on the second floor.
She describes to the police that he's kind of a recluse and he's a chronic alcoholic. She calls him the old man.
Next, police head upstairs to Hank's apartment. And right away, they can tell that something's wrong.
The door is not locked. Slightly ajar. They walk in, and initially they think that the place is ransacked.
Cautiously, they make their way through the apartment. And it isn't long before the officers make a horrific discovery.
He's dead on the floor. He's naked, and he's covered with bruises. This could be foul play.
Police immediately secure the area and wait for Dr. G's investigator to arrive.
My investigator looks around. There's beer bottles around, there's trash around, but they can't even tell if it's ransacked or not. They don't plan on doing anything else until I tell them it's a homicide. There's just a poor soul found dead.
As a first step, Dr. G reads through the investigator's report. And on first blush, all signs seem to support the possibility of foul play.
Well, certainly when you see a bruise, the first thing you'll think about is trauma or foul play. And in this case, it's a real possibility. You're easy pickings for somebody when you're drunk. Did he die because he brought unsavory people over to drink with him and they bopped him on the head?
But from experience, Dr. G knows there's a laundry list of other ways that alcohol could have contributed to his death.
It could be accidental. Maybe he's an alcoholic that fell. We always have to worry about trauma with alcoholics.
Or did years of chronic abuse simply take a fatal toll on Hank's body?
Alcohol can kill you in many ways. Heart disease, liver disease, pancreatic disease, GI disease. You know, there's a lot of problems.
However, there's another theory high on Dr. G's list.
I'm not suspecting the acute alcohol poisoning so much because he's definitely not a naive drinker, but I worry, did he die from alcohol withdrawal?
Alcohol withdrawal syndrome occurs when chronic alcoholics abruptly stop drinking, either because they are trying to quit or they simply run out of alcohol.
Your body gets so physically addicted to alcohol that you will have symptoms if you don't continue that alcohol at a certain level, particularly seizures and delirium tremors, that you can actually die from the withdrawal of alcohol. So we'll look to see if any alcohol is in his body. A lower level or no level of alcohol may indicate alcohol withdrawal syndrome.
But just as alcohol is looking like a good suspect, the investigator's report provides Dr. G with another insight into Hank's medical history.
My investigator finds insulin in the refrigerator and syringes. He is a known diabetic. Being an alcoholic, being a diabetic, that's a bad combination in and of itself.
It's definitely possible that Hank died from complications related to diabetes, but right now, it's just one potential culprit on a long list.
So, you know, what are we thinking of? We're thinking of course, foul play. Is it accidental? It could be from the chronic effects of alcohol in his body. It could be alcohol withdrawal. So there's a lot of things it could be. So the autopsy should be interesting.
Introducing Weight Watchers Clinic.
Our team of doctors will help you find the right medical weight loss plan, including medications if appropriate, with ongoing support from our nutrition and fitness experts.
The care you deserve from the brand you trust.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on getting you the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. But don't worry, we've got a lot more than that going for us. Woo.
Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have flip phones like the Iris Flip. If you're someone that doesn't need all that mumbo-jumbo and just wants something simple. And now, we even have watches.
We do.
No matter what device you choose, you'll be happy to know that if your data needs change,
No problem.
with our SmartFlex feature, you don't have to sweat it. Like say you're on a road trip out west and end up using a bunch of data. We can simply flex you up to the next data tier for as little as $5. Then, when you get home, you can flex right back down with no penalty, so you only pay for what you actually need.
With Consumer Cellular, you get the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost.
I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Will our award-winning customer service help me switch over or add a line for $15 to make my own family plan?
Of course they will.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
See that tower out there? It's a beauty. And there are thousands more like it, working hard for me and you, supplying 5G coverage to this beautiful nation of ours. We know how important coverage is. That's why we offer a risk-free guarantee. If you're not satisfied within 30 days of activation, you can pay nothing. Oh, look.
And for a limited time, new customers get their second month free. Call 800-311-5340. Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
We're giving away this 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath in the heart of the Ozark National Forest. You can win this cabin or $1 million cash.
Go to RoomCountry.com today. Sign up.
We've all done the smell check.
Trust me, I'm good.
Claire V targets vaginal odor at the source. Claire V, long-term relief from vaginal odor, itching, and discharge. Try it at clairev.com.
When someone dies unexpectedly, only an autopsy will expose the truth.
I need to look to see if there's evidence of a struggle. We're going to have to open him up to really see what the injuries are.
Dr. G, Medical Examiner, next on True Crime Network.
Dr. G is preparing to examine the body of 45-year-old Hank Mosley, who was found naked and bruised yesterday in his home. And because Hank's death is a suspected homicide, police are on hand to observe the autopsy.
Well, at this point, law enforcement is leaning on me a lot because they want to know how much further do we have to investigate this case. Do we go in there and look for more evidence, or is it just, natural or accidental death?
In most cases, Dr. G's first step is to remove the decedent's clothing. But in Hank's case, that step has been eliminated.
Now, the body being naked, who knows what this means? A lot of people, they don't realize how many people walk around their house naked. Even little old ladies walk around their residence naked. That's the beauty of my job. You see a snapshot of how people live. And sometimes it's not pretty.
He drinks and he smokes.
Yes.
Drinks and smokes.
Yeah, definitely.
He's only 45 years old, and the neighbor called him the old man, and I see why. He looks much older than the stated age, and that's a testimony of what chronic alcoholism will do to you.
Dr. G begins the external exam by scanning the body for clues. And right away, she notes a red flag. His legs are swollen with pitting edema.
The fluids build up in the tissues of the legs. We see that with congestive heart failure, when the heart can't beat strong enough and the fluid starts backing up.
But she won't know if his heart played a role in his death until she examines it.
What else we got going on in here?
For now, she turns her attention to Hank's bruises.
There isn't a portion of his body that doesn't have a bruise. He's got contusions on his arm, particularly on the forearm, that could be self-defense. There's bruises on his chest, huge bruise over here, and a big contusion on the right side of his abdomen. And he's got a black eye.
Carefully, she documents each and every bruise, starting on his torso.
There's a lot of bruises on his chest. That certainly could have caused a fractured rib that punctured his lung. He's got a bruise on the left side of his abdomen. The abdomen is a little bit distended. That could go along with bleeding into the abdomen. A ruptured spleen. Spleens tend to be larger in alcoholics, and a larger spleen is more prone to injury. We are worried. Certainly raises the possibility he either fell or was hit, but for the most part, just skin bruises are not going to kill you. What did it do on the inside? We don't know until we get in there and put all the pieces together, but without a doubt, he looks like an alcoholic. He smells like an alcoholic. He's got the history of an alcoholic, but how that plays a role in his death, we don't know yet.
And given Hank's black eye, Dr. G knows just where to start.
That is oftentimes where they're going to get the blow to the head for foul play. So we're going to go ahead and look at his head.